Welcome to Mormon Book Reviews, where an evangelical encounters the restoration. So, my next book I'm very interested in getting into because it was really the Community of Christ / RLDS that really helped propel me in what this channel is all about. I made a lot of contacts with them, and so when I was having discussions with various Community of Christ people, I was given an invitation to attend a book discussion group via Zoom, and the book that they were discussing was this book that I'm going to review, which is Joseph Smith III by Roger D. Launius. Joseph Smith III, Pragmatic Prophet. What an interesting title. I one time in one of my videos said Reluctant Prophet, and actually that could also be an appropriate name for the book as well. So this book was written by a member of the church, at the time was RLDS. It was written in the late 80s, and it's probably the best book ever written about Joseph Smith III, and it will probably be the book that people will still be reading 20, 30 years from now on the subject. So, a little background. Joseph Smith III was around 12, 13 years old when his father passed away via murder in 1844. And that had a profound effect on Joseph's childhood and his development as a man, and would have a great effect on what kind of person he would be as a leader of one of the Restoration churches. So the period from 1840 to 1860 is referred to as a time where there was no organized church. These were people who chose not to go to Salt Lake City and follow Brigham Young, mainly because of the polygamy issue. And many of these people believed that the rightful successor to the mantle of Joseph was his son, Joseph Smith III. So these people waited until the time would come when the Holy Spirit would allow him to become the next prophet. Now, during this period of time, he was actually very reluctant to really get too involved with Mormonism. As a matter of fact, Emma, his mother, ended up marrying a non-Mormon named Bideman, and they actually attended a Methodist church. So he actually spent a lot of his childhood in the Methodist church. He was not in any of the Restoration churches at that time. And he was very reluctant to accept this calling, and many people were on him for years to get to do it. But he was just a very thoughtful person. He went to law school. He was educated. He was well-read. And he was also very interested in a lot of different things. He did dabble with spiritualism for a while, which he did renounce because he recognized it was not something that was Christian. And so the time came where he accepted, via what he felt was promptings of the Spirit, to become the prophet on April 6th, 1860, exactly 30 years after the first organization of the church. And so he then, because of what happened to his father, decided that his church was going to be a church of peace. And so essentially they've had a long history of peaceful, being a peace church, and that's to their credit. I think that's a wonderful Christian thing to be part of, a great tradition within Christianity that I wish would be embraced by more churches. He was also very ecumenical. He was the face of the Mormonism that didn't practice polygamy. And so he actually did make a lot of efforts to do bridge building in amongst various Protestant communities as well. So he was ecumenical, he was a peace church, and also fought vigorously against polygamy and the Utah Mormons. So basically he was the main guy that took on polygamy, religious figure that took on polygamy in the country at this time. So that's an interesting history that was going on as well. Then, so I guess that just leads me to the official review. Joseph Smith III, Pragmatic Prophet. When I first checked this book out of my local library, approximately over a dozen years ago, I was just starting to study other groups of the Restoration. After reading this biography, I remember having a profound respect for Joseph Smith III and the RLDS in general. After acquiring a used copy for a book discussion with the Community of Christ, I once again was able to get reacquainted with this prophet and his church. I found the spirit of Joseph Smith III is alive and well in the movement he restored. While the last few decades have been a bumpy ride for this expression of Mormonism and its separated branches, hopefully the framework he established will bring unity and restoration and perhaps help usher in Zion to Independence, Missouri, and the rest of the world. I hereby award this book 5 out of 5 stars. Once again, like and subscribe. I want to also just let you know that I had some wonderful interactions with those of the independent restoration branches. Those are people who broke off from the RLDS starting in the 80s and 90s. I've received a great education from you guys. The spirit of Joseph Smith III is alive and well in your movement as well. Links in the description to the book, also to Paul Luddy, who is a publisher and bookseller that deals with things in the restoration in Independence, Missouri. Have a great day.